Civic Math, Virginia Part 1. Virginia, the colony too big to ignore. In 1776, there were 13 colonies, but one colony stood above the others in size, wealth, land, agriculture, and political influence. That colony was Virginia, not New York, not Massachusetts, but Virginia. Today, we are going to use math to understand why Virginia became one of the most powerful driving forces behind American independence. And by the end of this episode, you will understand something important. When Virginia moved toward independence, the revolution stopped being local, it became national. Welcome to Civic Math. Let's begin with population. Around 1776, the 13 colonies had roughly 2.5 million people. Virginia alone was estimated to have about 575,000 people. So 575,000 people in just one colony. Let's compare Virginia to the rest of the colonial population. So 575,000 divided by 2.5 million, we're looking at about 0.23. So that means Virginia alone had roughly 23% of the population. Almost 1 out of every 4 Americans lived in Virginia. 1 out of 4 in 1776 was in Virginia. Imagine one modern state containing nearly 1/4 of the entire country's population. That state would dominate national politics. That was Virginia in 1776. Let's examine how that population was actually composed of. That means free versus enslaved population. Let's look deeper into this situation. So Virginia's population had free colonies and enslaved Americans. So historians estimate that roughly Virginia had roughly 40% of enslaved American. So 575,000 multiplied by 40%, that's roughly 230,000. So 230,000 people were enslaved in Virginia in 1776. That is one of the largest enslaved populations anywhere in North America at the time. So let's look the other way around. 575,000 people minus 230,000. That's roughly 245,000 people. These were the free people in Virginia in 1776. Virginia's enormous agricultural economy depended heavily on enslaved labor, and mathematically, that labor helped create much of Virginia's health and political influence. Next, let's examine the land. Virginia was massive geographically, far larger than many northern colonies. Farmland, so Virginia had farms, that meant more plantations, that meant more export, that meant more political influence. If one colony controls huge farmlands, major rivers, Atlantic ports, and nearly a quarter of the population, then that colony becomes economically powerful. Virginia was not just a colony, Virginia was almost a regional superpower inside colonial America. Let's now examine what was actually produced in Virginia in 1776. Virginia economy depended heavily on tobacco. Tobacco was exported across the Atlantic to Britain, and tobacco farming created enormous wealth for plantation owners. Suppose one plantation produced 50,000 pounds of tobacco. So 50,000 pounds of tobacco for one farm. If tobacco sold for even a modest value across many plantations, Virginia could generate enormous export wealth. Now, multiply 50,000 by many hundreds, let's say 300. This is why independence was such a dangerous gamble for Virginia's elite, because if Britain cut off trade, Virginia's economy could collapse. Let's examine the political power playing at that time in Virginia. One colony has population, land, agricultural, agricultural export, wealthy landowners, and major political influence. and this was Virginia in 1776. What happens if only one colony had all this? That colony gains political power, and smaller colonies notice this. Some feared Virginia might dominate a future independent America. This fear later helped create the Senate, which is equal representation for either small or big states. So even before independence, Virginia's size was already shaping America's future government. The big question. Now let's ask the major civic math question. Could Britain afford to lose Virginia? Virginia produced, as we recall, tobacco, military leadership, agriculture, production, had Atlantic access, and political legitimacy. Losing Virginia for Britain would be losing one of the economic engines of the colonies, and Britain understood that, which is why Virginia became one of the most important battlegrounds of the Revolution. By 1776, Virginia was not just a colony, Virginia was the largest, the wealthiest, and the most influential colony in British America. Its population shaped politics, its plantations shaped the economy, its geography shaped trade. And when Virginia began moving toward independence, the revolution stopped being regional. It became national. Thank you for watching Civic Math. In part 2, we'll examine the Virginians who risked everything for independence. Patrick Henry is one of them, Thomas Jefferson, Richard Allen Lee, and a gentleman by the name of George Washington. Please subscribe, share with one person, and follow the Civic Math series as we continue the road to July 4th, 2026.